Alrighty, hello, my dear friends, stylists, listeners. You know the like friends, Roman countrymen thing. Yeah. Anyway, okay, we are here with the From Hobby to Full Time podcast, and all of March we're doing a series touching on the 4 cornerstone mindset beliefs that you need in order to be a successful entrepreneur. So far, we have covered the failure mindset and the growth mindset, and today we are going to talk about the perseverance and patient mindset. This is critical if you want to have a successful business. So let's talk about perseverance and patience. These sucky little words define business ownership. So I want to talk about how long it's going to take before you hit the big time. And I have a few little quotes and scenarios I want to share. So there is obviously that quote that it says, people usually say oh, I'm an overnight success, 15 years in the making. I just listened to a podcast with Celeste Barber, who's a comedian from Australia. And she said that about herself, right? So she's been a comedian for literally, I think actually 15 years. And really only recently, in the past maybe 2 years, has she gotten really famous and literally an overnight success. But she has been working and putting in the work all of those times. Marie Forleo is another awesome example. And if you have been listening to all of the episodes up till now, you'll know that I have mentioned her in each of them. I just read her book. This is not sponsored, but it's a really awesome book called Everything is Figure Outable. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but and in this book, she talks about how she worked jobs for 7 years, side jobs, side hustles for 7 years before her business coaching was bringing in enough money for her to feel secure and stable to go full-time in her business before it was able to support her in a full-time salary. And I think that's kind of the dirty little secret people don't tell you about being an entrepreneur and owning your business, is that it is going to take time. End of story. There is a great Instagram post. Hold on. I made myself a note. And it says, if you aren't content along the journey, you won't be content at your destination. And this is from a girl I follow, Carly, Frolic and Flow. She's all about wellness. This is nothing to do with personal styling. But I really love that quote because when you're embarking on a business, especially as a personal stylist, things are just going to take time. So I will tell you a little bit about my own story. I started kind of in this industry almost on accident as a blogger, as one did back in the day. Back in when did I start my blog? 2010. And it was basically just a fashion blog. It turned into a personal styling blog. And then I morphed it into covering secondhand styles, secondhand fashion. And that's kind of what I sort of became known for. I got really niche, really specific with just my own passion of shopping secondhand. And things kind of took off from there. And then I learned about styling as a business basically on accident. And I dove into it, and that was in 2014. So that was kind of 4 years in. And then now it's 2020. So 6 years later, and I'm working for myself. And over the years, things just took a long time, right? I didn't dive even full-time into my business to 2017, I think, was when I kind of finally figured out, working with clients on a process basis is a lot easier and better than working a la carte, which we cover in Biz Bootcamp when we talk about how to create client-centered services. But things just take time, right? And if you aren't happy being curious and having a growth mindset and embracing failures and setbacks, then you're not going to be patient or be able to persevere along this journey. So the only thing you really have control over is your attitude and your response to the time. And quite often, when you kind of hit that sweet spot, right, of great attitude and being super grateful for where you are, things can speed up a little bit. But I will be the very first one to tell you that I am a type A perfectionist. I always have a ton of goals and lists and timelines that I want to achieve and exactly how I think that should happen. And learning to trust and just be patient in the process and enjoy that journey can be really hard, right? Because you kind of, and I will tell you from experience, you think, things would just be different if I could just get this amount of clients or this amount of money, or I've been doing this for 2 years. Why am I not a world famous stylist by now, right? Again, let me go back to Marie Forleo, who worked 7 years side hustles, like as a dance instructor, as a bartender, all of these different things, while also working on her business and her B school program. And now, you know, she's made multiple millions of dollars and she's like really famous, but it took time and it took a lot of perseverance. And if you don't have the patience and the perseverance mindset, you are just not gonna make it. I'm just gonna tell you that right now, because things get hard and they are challenging. And I do not want this to be like a downer of an episode. It is a little bit shorter than normal. So I wanna share 3 ways that you can start to gather this perseverance, that you can start to gather patience around you. And this is going to be a little bit on the woo side of things. So I hope you're ready to dive into some of that. But the very first thing is to start a gratitude practice. Now, I think like 2020 and like 2019 was like the year of gratitude. I feel like I heard it everywhere. I heard a lot of books, I heard a lot of resources, and everybody's like, you need to be grateful. You need to like write down 20 things you're grateful for every day and and then things will drop from the sky. Like, it's not really how it happens, right? But every time you find yourself saying like, I wish, or I want, those are kind of negative, those are sending negative connotations out to the universe, because what it's indicating is that you are not happy with the way things are now. You are focusing on the lack. When you say, oh, I wish I had these clients, what you're actually putting out there is you're saying, oh, I'm never gonna have those things. They're far away from me. And if you can start to change that to I desire, and then being grateful for what you do have and where you are, it will help. And this is, again, this is a practice in and of itself you have to be patient with, right? But how can you transform this want or lack mindset into this abundant mindset, right? So that's kind of a sub mindset to all of these things, is being patient, having a gratitude practice puts you in a place of enjoying that journey, right? If you are working like a part-time job, but you're also working with clients, like enjoy the fact that you have a stable income while you're still able to be creative and work with clients and doing something and growing something that you really want to be doing. So anytime you find yourself saying, I wish or I want, have that be a trigger to switch it and say like, I desire to make an impact in my styling business. I desire to change women's lives with my styling business. And I am so grateful for where I am today, right now, working this other job, because it's giving me money to fund my purpose, or whatever your situation is, okay? So number 2, ways to create a perseverance and patient mindset is to not give up. I find so many people are just on the cusp of giving up because they are either overwhelmed by everything going on in their life, they're overwhelmed by their age, they think they're too old for this job, they think they're too young, they're overwhelmed by their full-time job and trying to do this on the side, by their family. Sometimes they're overwhelmed by the fact that they don't have a background in fashion, or maybe they came from a completely different field. Side note, probably like 95% of the stylists you meet started in a completely different field than personal styling. And a lot of them, myself included, would come from social work or psychology backgrounds, which ironically enough makes us very qualified to help all these people with their style hangups and their style challenges. And sometimes it's just easier to give up and say, this is never gonna work for me, than to persevere and keep going, right? Because a lot of times, it just looks like everything's failing and crumbling around you and you cannot see the other end. You can't see the light at the end of that tunnel. So the only thing I can tell you this is don't. Rewrite your version of success, like we talked about in the previous episode, and pursue that, right? So maybe your definition of success right now, where you are right now, is that you are working a part-time job that gives you financial stability and you're able to work with clients on the weekend. Or you are able to have a full-time job that supports your family while also getting to pursue your dream of being a stylist. And maybe that you only have a couple hours every week to do that, but maybe you are honing that. So rewrite your definition of success. That, I think, helps people overcome that, not willingness, but sometimes that deep dive into like giving in and not having perseverance and not sticking through things. Number 3, find an accountability partner, coach, or a group of friends who can cheer you on in what you're doing. Sometimes this is all you need when the belief in yourself is waning and you start to think that you don't have what it takes. If you don't have people, then find books, find resources, look in self-help, look in personal development, find an online support group of even business owners and entrepreneurs. These people don't have to be stylists in order to support you. A lot of these things are very similar across all entrepreneurs. And if you can find a women's entrepreneur group, a lot of times there's going to be local communities on Facebook, like Boss Babes or Girl Bosses or whatever. You may be able to look that up and find something in your community. Oftentimes those can be great resources of support when you're feeling down. And so I want to share an example from the stylists that are in the Founders Club, which is my online membership community for personal stylists, where we do deep dives into how to create a successful personal styling business. She wrote that she felt very down and out about her business, her age. She's older, whatever, that's relative. She's, I think, maybe 40s. And she just felt that styling and fashion was passing her by. Her business wasn't where she wanted it. And so many of the stylists in this community like rallied around her to say like, hey, I'm also like in my 40s and I'm doing this. Yeah, definitely fashion is crazy, but we focus on style with our clients. We don't really dive into trends. And essentially, long story short, she had that accountability group that was there to rally around her and cheer her on, and not only just say things like, you can do it, but like gave her practical advice of, hey, have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing X? Hey, maybe you should go back through the resources in Biz Bootcamp and the Founders Club and like make sure you have that foundation. See what you can do different in marketing. See how you can rewrite your definition of success in order to be successful. So I want you to cultivate a patience and perseverance mindset. This doesn't mean that your journey may take 7 years. You may be a full-on out, balls to the wall, successful stylist in under a year. A lot of things depend on who you are, where you are in life, how deep into the woo you are, your resources, your independent financial resources and ability to start a business. And then other times it may take a little bit longer. But if you are going to be an entrepreneur, you got to be patient and you got to be able to you got to persevere. And so I hope you will take that from this episode and share with me ways that you've persevered through things. There have been a lot of times where I was like, okay, I have this income stream and now this is like going away, or like this program and now doesn't have this money anymore. So I need to find a different thing. And it's always happened. It's always come, which I think is a really kind of cool way. One of my affirmations, this is into the woo, disclosure, is that I am abundant and that money and opportunities are always flowing towards me. And when I look back over my life, like, I think this is part of me having a growth mindset, embracing a failure mindset, being patient and perseverance, is that I know it's gonna all work out at the end. And so I know that I'm always supported. I know that the universe has my back, and therefore everything that I do is gonna unfold in its own time. And so I hope that when you go into this as a personal stylist and you have your own business, go all out, go all in, and then know that the universe has your back. And just be grateful for that journey. So share with me your journey. I would love to know. I want to know how long you've been doing this, where you are, where you live, what your hopes and dreams are, and where you want to go. Hit me up on Instagram at ChicStripes. Feel free to shoot me an email at chicstripes@gmail.com. And I'm going to see you on the podcast this week. So if you've been listening for a little while, you'll know we usually do listener questions and star reviews, but I wanted to make this a little bit shorter. So that is why you have a shorter episode today. We will be back with more in the upcoming week. So thanks so much for tuning in to the From Hobby to Full-Time podcast. This is your resource to take your side hustle a lot more seriously as a personal stylist, and we're going to help you get there. So see you.